Councilmember Mike Bonin, Joe Buscaino, Mitchell Farrell, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I think we've all realized that school is now back in session with the latest traffic conditions. It's either that or our new mobility plan, which is now in effect. So with that, it took an hour and a half to get here this morning. If we're going to run through the meeting, this is a bit of an echo chamber, so we're going to ask folks in the audience if you can not talk or make any disruptive noises. That will be the fair warning that if you do, you'll be just asked to step outside and stay outside the meeting at that point. We are live, and you can listen in as well if you're outside the meeting, and you can stream it as well. So with that, colleagues, let's go ahead and go into specific items. Any members have anything special at this point?
On item 13, I'd actually ask if we could continue that. I'd like to meet with the department first and then bring it into committee. So
Okay. Okay, without objection, we'll go ahead and 2 weeks?
Sure.
Okay, item 13 will be continued for Mr. Bonin for 2 weeks. Okay. Without objection, that'll be the order. Seeing no other ones, we're going to go ahead and go right into items that have called special for cards. First, we've got item 1 on the annual brush clearance. Nepal, Newall. Good morning.
I have photos, 7 photos as requested.
Okay.
And in the photos, you will see the evidence and pictures.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, the exhibit A is a letter from my friend who went to clean it with me. B is I went to talk to all the neighbors around, and they're willing to sign on the second page that they saw me and my friend clean the lot. And exhibit C is a neighbor that didn't see anybody, me or my friend or fire department clean the lot. D is my friend's second letter showing that he have additional picture to show. E and F is what I just received from fire department last week. Exhibit G is all the pictures. Pretty much I write description. The dead tree that is on the lot next door, the fire department thing is on my lot, which is I have to go through the galvanized fence to get to the lot next door to clean it. And I have videotape to show. I walk through it to show how deep that dead tree is from my lot. But if you look through the pictures, you can see G10, picture G10 and G11. That's the dead tree before it's been cut down. G10 before cut down. G11 after it cut down. G12 and G13 show the dead tree right on the edge of the cliff. G14 and 15 show aerial photo of the dead tree. G16 and 17 actually are photos from the fire department notice of non-comply itself. In the fire department document, it shows that the dead tree is not on my lot. And this is the walkthrough.
Thank you. That's the biggest iPad I've ever seen. Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
It sounds like some access issues that you've had as well.
There's a fence between my lot and the neighbor next door.
Right.
And I have to go through the fence. In the past 2 years,
So it sounds like an access issue.
Actually, this Sunday that's open.
Okay. We've got to limit your time, unfortunately, I believe, right, to the 2 minutes? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got to limit the time for the 2 minutes, and we have all the documentation here. Let me just ask the fire department to weigh in, if I could.
Okay, good morning, committee. Captain Knight, Fire Department Brush Clearance Unit for the Fire Prevention Bureau. Spoke with Mr. Newell earlier, and he submitted those photos.
Excuse me for 1 second. Herman, if you can please not walk around. As you keep standing up, this is the third time you've got up and walked around. You've already got all your cards submitted. It's disrupting the meeting for those who are trying to pay attention to what's going on. So if you get up again and just walk around, we're going to ask you to step out. So thank you very much. Please.
Spoke with Mr. Newell earlier this morning. He did submit us pictures and photos. The issue is the property line. The fire department utilizes parcel maps from the Los Angeles County Assessor's Office. It utilizes also Zemus maps to determine where the actual property lines are. Many times in the high severity zone, fences or gates may be up, excuse me, but they're up for convenience and not necessarily on the direct property line. So our recommendation, based upon the information that he has now submitted, is that we will do another site visit with Mr. Newell with the inciting inspector to confirm, and we'll hold this particular parcel and remove the rest of the report.
Okay. So we should go ahead and hold it? Is that
We'll
for your
hold
request?
this particular parcel, yes.
Okay, we'll hold this particular parcel then, and come back to us. When would you like to come back to us and report
We'll
back?
come back at the next meeting.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and hold that particular one. Thank you very much. So we'll give you a little more time to work through it. Colleagues, just want to remind you on the brush clearance appeals, these are folks that, and just walk through this again, because we do this every year, where we send our fire inspectors out to ensure that their properties, particularly in high fire severity zones, are clearing the brush, which really causes, and particularly nowadays with the drought and a lot of the growth and fuel that's out there, a tremendous public safety concern and to life and property. When it is done on appeal, essentially the departments go out there, they give notice numerous occasions, they go out and do their own inspection, and then at some point have to hire a crews to go out there and actually clean it themselves, ourselves, to make sure that we're protecting both their properties and their neighbors as well. It's gone through extensive outreach by the time it gets to us, and then it comes back on appeal. There are those rare situations that perhaps an owner out of town or whatever the case may be, like in this one, where something further needs to be looked into. For the most part, I would say most of the time, by the time it comes here, the fire department and the various departments and agencies involved in this have really exhausted their resources. We have one of 4 possible actions that we can send to the full city council, and that's to confirm the assessment. We can reduce the amount of the assessment and confirm it as modified, or decide to hear the case based on the record and any newly discovered. So it's newly discovered or additional evidence is what we're asking. We're not asking them to repeat any particular part of the case or things that have already been filed or that are on file with the city or the department, but additional or new evidence offered by the property owner that confirm the original or modified assessment. And the last thing we can do is obviously refer the case back to the hearing officer if the newly discovered or additional evidence is needed before the final decision is made. So those are the 4 options essentially we have, and we'll be hearing these over the next several weeks as well. So that action without objection will be to continue it for the 2 weeks and then have you come back with a report back on any additional new information. Great, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, the next one on item 1, Stephen Senemar.
Good morning.
Morning.
Shall I start?
Oh yeah, please go ahead. Anytime you're ready.
The issue at hand is I have met with another hearing with the fire marshal, and we have not received any of the notifications that they are implying. And I just found out that some of the mail had been returned to the fire department brush clearance earlier this week, and basically we did not receive any notices. But we cleaned up the property anyway because I own other properties in that same area, and I notified the inspector we didn't receive anything, and basically that's why we're here today. If we had received any notices, we would have complied sooner. We didn't receive any notices. The only thing I have received is bills, no notices.
What's the property address?
2916 Delore Avenue.
Because you didn't put that on the speaker card. You put a Yorba Linda address. 2916 what?
Delore Avenue.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
actually a
was
vacant lot adjacent to
I
that.
see the picture of it. I
Right.
just didn't know which one it was. Okay.
in the city of Los Angeles, El Serrano area.
Okay, and if you can walk us through, did you have anything further, sir?
That's all.
Okay. Which item, what page number was this
This is
particular one?
page 56.
56.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Page 56.
Page 56.
Page 56, yeah. The subject property is a vacant lot adjacent to 2916 Delora Drive. What we discovered here is at the hearing that Mr. Stevens' seminar was at, he is claiming that he had cleared that particular lot. However, the inspector has documented and had photos of what the condition of the property was at the time of the first inspection and the second inspection, during the clearance, and at the completion of the clearance. So the fire department did indeed clear that lot. In addition, we have to also note that this property was a former lot cleaning parcel, which is lot cleaning is no longer. The fire department now handles all the lot cleaning parcels that are now located within the city's very high fire hazard severity zone. So the appeal that the property owner was not properly served could very well be. However, the fire department serves property owners in two ways. One is by U.S. mail, and the other is by physical posting of the property, so that we can get to notify the property owner.
Is this property fenced?
No, it's not.
No, it's not fenced.
So where would the posting take place? Would you stake it in the ground?
Yes, there would be a stake. Yes. So that's how we notify the property owner. However, we do know that there was an address issue. In those cases where that is confirmed, the fire department normally recommends a waiving of the administrative fee. However, the property was cleaned and the property owner was afforded compliance by the fire department. So in past and recommendation by the fire department is that we will waive the administrative fee based upon the service.
That we waive the administrative fee, you're saying?
That's our recommendation, yes.
Okay. So the cost for the clearance would be $325 versus the
correct.
$938?
That's correct. The fire department did in fact clear
Is that
that lot.
reasonable?
That's okay by me, but let me just explain something.
Before you do that,
Yes.
if it's okay by you,
It
we
is
haven't
okay.
made the decision yet.
That's okay.
It could be the 1263. I'm just saying, I was going to ask you for proof or a timestamp of the photo, but if it's okay by you, I'm willing to go with the 325 if the
That's
committee's
fine
willing to
by
go
me,
around.
yes.
Okay.
But I'd like to continue my conversation.
Yep, please.
Okay. The gentleman, the captain that explained that the fire department goes and inspect the properties, it just happens that I have 13 other properties across the hill. And we just went through this with the captain, and he waived all the fees on those properties because it was a mistake. Because we do go by every year, we clean all the properties, we take pictures, we document everything, as I have documented them before. And there was a mistake. I'm not blaming anybody, so there are mistakes that happens. And it might have happened in this case as well, so.
We just don't know. And that's why he's willing to waive, in the recommendations to waive the administrative fee, to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay. So with that, what I would recommend for the future as well is some way to document when you take the photo, maybe holding up a newspaper, the daily newspaper in front of the photo, something to document when the proof of the time you took the photo, or the date you took the photo for future reference. That would be helpful in case this comes up again. But it sounds like you're a good steward of the properties that you have, and you take good care of them, so we appreciate that. Okay. Without any further discussion, colleagues would recommend that we accept the recommendation from the department, waive the administrative fee as just the cost of the clearance. That'll be the action of this committee. Without objection? Great, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next one is Connie Branson. Which page number is this one? Do we know? This is on 403 Barrett Road.
I believe this is
61.
page number 61, yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and board members. I submitted about 15 sheets that explains I disagree with everything that's going on with this parcel. I believe that the picture that was taken by the fire department or by Inspector Rona, I think that it doesn't depict a true picture of the bamboo. And one thing is that they cleared a small area, and I'm being charged almost $1,300. Now, I had some work done on 6 palm trees, and I gave you pictures of before and after and the invoice that was paid. And the last meeting that I was at, I had left numerous calls to Inspector Orozca, and calls were never returned. So when I did go above him, I was told that I needed to email Captain Knight, which I never did. Maybe that's a regret. And then, I'm just being charged for something that I believe it's not depicting the true of the dryness. And if you can see, if anything, the palm trees are what should have been a more concern than the bamboos. And you'll see that they're still there, some of them.
Okay, thank you. And in looking at this, though, the first notice to comply, so the notice to comply, just so I understand it, is after, how much longer after the notice to comply is sent do they receive that from the brush clearance notification? So when does the brush clearance notification first go out, the self-assessment?
Okay, how the process works is that there's an initial inspection that's actually done. If the property is found to be in non-compliant, they'll be issued a notice of non-compliance. There's a due date associated with that. In this particular case, their due date was August the 8th.
Right. No, I'm sorry. Yes, I see all that. And then the city actually hired the contractor, and it was done on December 8th. No, my question, I appreciate that. My question is, when are the property owners first notified of brush clearance? Prior to an inspection or prior to a notice of comply? How far in advance? When does that first go out?
Oh, we send the notices out in March. So
March.
They're looking, yes.
Okay.
They're looking at almost 2 months that we send the self-inspection affidavit form and also the brush clearance map.
So it was done in March, so it took 4 months later when we first issued a notice to comply.
Correct.
And then it wasn't actually done until we had hired our city crews after second, third notices have gone out, work orders prepared, the property was posted, and it was finally completed in December. Is that correct?
That's correct. It appears as though there was some sort of a back and forth communication with the property owner and Inspector Arona that she needed more time, and apparently Inspector Arona was being courteous to that, and so he didn't clear the property until December of 2014.
What's your recommendation?
That we uphold the assessment.
Okay. Colleagues, any other questions, concerns, suggestions? Okay. Then that'll be the order. We'll go ahead and uphold the assessment as recommended by the department on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and final speaker, let's see, we have, I'm sorry, Stephen Senemar. Oh, we already had him on that one. And Herman on item 1. And actually, you have cards also. Why don't we go ahead and take your cards on 1, 3, 5, and 7 together? 1, 3, 5, and 7.
How many minutes for 1, 3, 5, and 7?
Total of 5.
Total 5.
Cumulative minutes. 5, sir. Now, Mr. Englander, who's running for county supervisor.
You're going to address? Hold a second.
I'm going to address the situation, item
Herman,
1, for
I held your time. Stop
clearance
talking.
assessment.
I'm going to ask
Pardon?
you to step out of the room. I held your time. Stop talking. You will not address anything that's not on the agenda if you're speaking on an agenda item, period.
I was speaking
And if you're going to do that, you're going to be asked to leave, and you're disrupting this meeting. Okay? So,
that earlier today. I was warned. I understand.
okay. So that's your final warning. So if you go off topic and you're not on the agenda, you know the rules. You speak at every single committee and every single council meeting, and you fill out cards on every. So you know your rules. And if you're not going to follow it, then you're going to be asked to leave. That's your final warning. Okay. Please start its time again.
So going back on item 1, regarding a fire commission report relative to the proposal decision by the brush clearance brought about by this racist, discriminatory individuals who sit on this panel under Public Safety Committee. Who the hell do you think you are saying to folks that they're in non-compliance when all they're trying to do is bring to their situation a better understanding? That's the reason why they're here. They know they're going to get fucked over for what they're trying to accomplish, and that is to have you listen to their concerns and waive all these charges against their properties. So you put a lien on their property, the same way you put liens on hundreds of people throughout the year, because you're hard up for money. The city of Los Angeles is bankrupt, so the only way to get money from you is to go put a lien on your property and bring up some stupid address that you got by mistake You bring in someone in here and make them feel so uncomfortable, and you bring such emotional harm to them and their families, knowing that during this economic crisis, that such newly discovered evidence of a burden of harm by brush clearance. Isn't that fucked up, Americans? I'm an American, and I know my rights. That's why I speak my mind out regarding
Herman,
why are you bringing
shut off your light on your camera, please. It's
I'm
disrupting
recording
the
this,
meeting.
sir. I'm
You can keep
recording.
record all you want, but just not with the light.
Well, then don't tell
You've
me
been
to
asked
turn it
that.
off.
You've been asked that every time.
Is it off?
Thank you. It's off now.
Thank you, Alf. Now, going back to this item now, let me finish item 1, since I was disrupted by some knucklehead, not to mention that during this process under case 56, or was it page 56? Oh no, page 61. I demand that you give these people a receipt stating that the action you take today is going to be dissolved and that you're going to waive these false charges against them, because some of them came in here with the right amount of proof showing that you're incorrect, incompetent, incoherent, and ignorant to the charges you're assessing to their property. Now going on to what other items, sir, since I got 3 minutes? So I'm not disrupting the meeting.
3, 5, and 7.
3, 5, and 7. 5, Mr. Wesson, Mr. Englander running for county supervisor, Miss Martinez Nuri in District 6. Little Nuri, relative to
You're not on the agenda, and that's your 5th warning now. You're not on the agenda, so your time is up. Thank you very much.
I have the right to speak my
Thank you, sir.
mind, and I'm going to speak like Nuri.
You're not on the agenda.
I can behave like this. I
You're still
understand
not
what
on the
I'm saying.
agenda.
I'm on
You're
the
continuing
agenda.
to disrupt this meeting.
I'm speaking about
Your time is up.
regarding
Thank you, sir.
use of
Since you've disrupted this meeting 5 times now, thank you.
I'm reading off the agenda.
You can go listen in outside if you'd like.
You're such a...
You're disrupting the meeting.
Racist.
Now you're still disrupting the meeting.
You're a racist.
You're continuing to disrupt the meeting.
Yeah, because you're racist.
Sergeants, please show them
Money
out
for county supervisor.
immediately.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
I got it. I got it.
He's continuing to disrupt the meeting. Yes, you are. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much.
And politely, don't disrupt me.
See you in council. All right. Thank you. And then in the other committees. Okay. We'll go ahead and note and file all his other cards for that he filled out, so we can show that he filled those out as well. Okay. That brings us to the consent calendar, if we could. Items I would propose, except for ones we have cards on, which I'm going to get through.
Councilmember, on item number 1, would you like to approve the item with the amendments that you made?
Yes, please.
Previous-
Without objection?
Yeah, thank you.
That'll be the order. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving forward on to items 9 through 20, I have cards on 10, 15, and 18. So we'll hold 10, 15, and 18 and call the balance of those items consent. 13 we already continued. That was done earlier, but thank you, Doug. Yeah. And so with that, again, items 9 through 20, with the exception of Mr. Tripp's note-taking, 10, 15, and 18 will be held for cards, and the balance of those for consent, unless colleagues have any items special on those. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and note and file those. Okay. Then with...
I'm sorry, Mitch.
Oh, no.
Can I, Mr. Chair, can I call and hold item 6? I just want to hear from Port Police on this MOA.
Item 6? Yeah, we haven't taken 6 yet, so we're good.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, it was just 9 through 20 with the exception of 10, 15, and 18,
Okay.
and apparently the exception of 13 as well. Okay. All right, so with that, let's go ahead, we'll hold those for cards, and let's go ahead, can we continue item 7 as well without objection? Unless anybody wants to hear that now. Item 7, if we can continue item 7. Okay, we'll go ahead and continue that. And we'll let you know when the next date is, when we hear back from the department.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, let's go ahead and take item 2 for cards.
Councilmember, would you like me to read that into the record?
Yes, please.
Item number 2 is a report from the Board of Fire Commissioners relative to reappropriating fiscal year 2013 Port Security Grant Program funding to enable the completion and training of equipment purchases.
Great, thank you very much. Is it Prentice Jenkins? No longer here? Okay. Seeing no other cards on 2. Is there a motion to move that? Move. Second, okay. All those in favor? Aye. All right, that moves.
Councilmember, for item number 2, we did receive a CAO report after the agenda was published, so would we like to approve the CAO recommendations?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Approved as recommended by the CAO. Okay, we'll go ahead and jump to item 4 now for cards. We have 2 cards, Hamid Khan and Jamie Garcia. Bless you.
And item number 4 is a communication from the Mayor and City Administrative Officer report relative to proposed budget modifications related to the fiscal year 2013 Urban Area Security Initiative Grant.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you start the clock at 2 minutes? We have it at 5.
Should I just contact you later on?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes, thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
To the council member.
I will, thank you, sir.
Hi, good morning. My name is Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. What we are passing out today is a report from Senator Coburn that was released in the end of 2012 on the Urban Area Security Initiative. And Senator Coburn is from Oklahoma. He's a member of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. And this is probably a detailed report showing, and the report goes on to show that it exposes safety at any price, exposes misguided and wasteful spending in one of the largest terror prevention grant programs at the Department of Homeland Security. What you also have with you are excerpts from this report, which go to show that how much money from 2003 till 2012 has been given to local municipalities. Like, for example, Los Angeles, Long Beach area, up until fiscal year 2012 had been given $643 million, so up to now it's close to about $800 million has been given through the Urban Area Security Initiative. The other excerpt that we pulled out is also something that was shown up in the report, where local police departments and law enforcement agencies are going to grant writers, and it says in one of them, in one of it's called lawofficer.com, Introduction to Grants, and it says that tell them what they want to hear, and you stand a chance of getting a better score. Fear has always been a motivating factor in getting the government to spend its money. And the last piece that we have given you as a part of that is where $1,000 per cop at the San Diego Police Department was spent to attend a zombie apocalypse, where a zombie apocalypse was organized and monies were spent. So I think the questions that we have here is that LAPD is getting a lot of this money, and more money is being spent into killing people. LAPD is on record of already having murdered 13 people this year. So it's time that this body comes together. It's time that this body really does a fair transparency and accountability of where all these monies are going, because this is a wasteful spending that we are spending our monies.
Great, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jamie Garcia. I'm with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. So with the focus on police reforms, the discussion of militarization usually focuses on the 1033 program and excess military gear given to police agencies. What's hiding behind it, the 1033 program, is the Urban Area Security Initiative. These federal funds funneled through FEMA have provided domestic police with $8 billion over the last 10 years and $800 million to Los Angeles, Long Beach area over the last 12 years. I come before this commission not only as a member of the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, but also as a registered nurse in Boyle Heights. Funding of the USA money has essentially become an entitlement program with state and local jurisdictions believing this funding will continue indefinitely. What the DHS Inspector General is pointing out is that there is a growing trend in the inability of California USAI jurisdiction to have an assured source of funding to complete and to operate systems acquired to the UASI grants. So I ask, where will this depleting money come from when its sources run dry. It can come from stripping of public benefit programs. We must stop useless spending on the continued militarization of police. We must redefine public safety and invest in public benefit programs to grow a safe and healthy community. Thank you.
Great. No, thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other cards on this item, we'll go ahead and move the item as recommended. Seeing no objections, that item will be moved as recommended. Thank you very much. Okay, next item, we'll go ahead and take item 3 for cards. David Garner.
And item number 3 is a report from the Board of Police Commissioners relative to how the Los Angeles Municipal Code provisions regulating valet parking would apply to on-demand valet parking services and possible amendments needed to effectively regulate on-demand valet services.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm not here. No
Sorry.
problem.
That was a quick. This is a test of your emergency broadcast system. This is only a test. Should be notified in a real emergency. Okay, we're all set? Okay.
I think it's more in general issues on this to make sure that this issue is addressed properly, that there's a level playing field addressed. The company I work for, Classic Parking, we operate the Music Center, Staples Center LA Live for AEG, the Coliseum Sports Arena, Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl doesn't apply, obviously, in this meeting. When it comes to valet and the on-demand valet, then the sharing nature of our economy as it moves, especially with Uber and Sidecar, and now we're moving into companies like Zerx and others, we just want to make sure that everything is addressed the same way, that revenues are reported correctly, so the parking occupancy tax, so the city gets its fair due. When people are paying these people, do you get the revenue? That drop-off and pick-up locations, when I see a letter that was addressed in an interdepartmental communication by Mr. Tefank back on July 14th that says legal parking spaces, well, we're forced to operate within white zones. And some of those white zones we had to create with city traffic engineers by removing meters and also making annual payments, I believe quarterly payments to the city for the meter revenue loss. So we just want to make sure that everything is on a level playing field as this is addressed going forward.
Excellent. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And the report has come in on this, and it's simply a recommendation at this point, colleagues, to request that the city attorney draft the ordinance so we can actually then have the conversation. That ordinance draft will come back to committee and we can see all the details. So at this point, it's simply asking them to take a draft of it and have that discussion. And then there will be public comment and input as well as before it goes to council, it'll come back here as well. So this actually goes from here to council, requesting the city attorney to draft that, then it'll come back here again. And the idea on this one, so folks know, is that there are numerous apps out there. This is not relating to, and I believe this was a Wesson motion originally, not relating to the Uber or Lyfts, but more apps for parking. And so, for instance, an example, you're driving around downtown and you can't find a parking spot. You pull out your app, somebody takes your car and goes park it, and you just go in to the restaurant or whatever that might be. There are serious concerns over licensing, checks, backgrounds, everything that we've talked about in the shared environment in that space and these kinds of applications. And certainly the impacts on approved lots that we may have near there as well. And so it's anticipated the city attorney will take all those factors into consideration given the discussion that we've had previously as well. So colleagues, would you like to weigh in on this as well?
Yep, move approval.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and approve that and send it on to the full city council, simply asking the city attorney to draft an ordinance for discussion. Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's approved. Next item, we'll go ahead and take item 8. I don't believe we put that on consent. There are no cards on it, but we can go ahead and take item 8 on consent as well. That's okay.
8?
Yep. It's a graffiti reward?
Move it.
Okay, so moved, seconded, approved, and thank those. It's great when we pay those out. Those are people that are calling in, and LAPD is apprehending graffiti suspects. So those are always good to do. With that, let's go ahead, if we could, and hear items 10, 15, and 18, called special by cards by Mr. Lima. I have those. We haven't taken 5 yet. That'll leave the balance of colleagues, item 3 and 5 remaining after 10, 15, and 18.
And how much time would you like on the clock?
Well, it's 2 each, so a total of 5?
I'll try to keep it to 2, Councilman, for all 3.
We'll give you
Should be
5,
pretty quick.
whatever you like.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Englander, Honorable Public Safety Committee members. My name is Frank Lima. I'm proud to be the president for United Firefighters of LA City, representing paramedics, firefighters, dispatchers, inspectors, and pilots in this great fire department. In regards to number 10 and hiring, I believe the City Council, the Mayor, Fire Chief, and UFLAC are all in agreement that the top priority for the LAFD is to properly staff our fire department. As you recall, we had severe budget cuts. We were the most decimated department in the city. We lost over 330 firefighters in the field. And in addition to not hiring a firefighter in nearly 6 years, it put ourselves in a hole, and we're starting to get out of it. As I've stated time and time again, the LAFD continues to be the most understaffed big city fire department in America, and it puts public and firefighter safety at risk. It's taken some time, and we're not out of the woods yet by any means, but this council's been very supportive. We got 5 classes this year of academy. Last couple weeks ago, Krikorian put in a motion, and we just flexed our classes of 50 up to 65, and we really thank you for that. But we just got to keep the momentum going there, because even with the drill tower classes at capacity, we still, as of July 1st, have 340 field vacancies, and we have 185 people that we're going to lose and drop this year. So just a number I just want to keep on the top of your heads there. In regards to hiring, UFLAC's been engaged with the department and other stakeholders, the Centurions, Los Bomberos, women in the fire service, and we need qualified men and women, period. We don't want the standards lowered, and nobody should receive preferential treatment in the process. In regards to item 15 on the budget, in regards to emergency incident technicians, which are our firefighters that drive chief officers, we're opposed to this motion as written. As you recall, a mid-year budget request by the fire chief. He was going to put in for all the EIT full restoration, and we were opposed to that. So what we did was we partnered up and said we have to open up suppression engines and ambulances, and we could do 1 battalion of EIT. So we did that together. So I just urge you, we don't need full restoration of all our EITs. We could open up in a battalion at a time with an engine, as well. Thank you for that. In regards to 18, on the consolidation of the public safety dispatch operations, it's something that me and Council Member Englander know well. We've visited other cities. It's an important topic in regards to blending our dispatch center. Firefighters have sworn dispatchers, and LAPD does not. And we want to keep it that way. We have firefighters that have fallen through roofs, that dispatch in their wheelchairs. We have paramedics that are talking to kids and teaching them how to do CPR over the phone. And in regards to, basically just want to get out that as you know, UFLAC supported the idea of creating the public safety technology team. We also supported potential changes of the CAD. So however, just want to reiterate that we must proceed in that area with caution. Any merger of the LAPD and LAFD CAD systems must be carefully executed. We will not support any efforts to eliminate our dispatchers, of course. So just want to reiterate that other big cities have had costly experiments with CAD, so it's just want to do it right. And when it comes to fruition of having those talks, we just want to make sure UFLAC's included in that process. Thank you all very much.
No, thank you very much, and thanks for your partnership in that as well. And just for record, colleagues, those items were from previous year's budget discussions and deliberations, and so trying to update the files and making sure they're corresponding also with this current year's feeling. And a lot has come out of the conversations with your partnership with UFLAC, and I really, truly appreciate, we all do. And the one that you referenced, in fact, on record, was when we went and visited the Dallas Dispatch Center. They did a full consolidation, but they kept their sworn dispatchers for the fire department, and it all worked well. That was a great example of having the not just the department, but the representatives of the department, their union as well, at the table for the discussions in procurement and rollout, and it worked well. So following those kind of models is critically important, that you're not here filling out a speaker card when those come through conversation, but you're on the agenda to speak as part of the conversation, have a seat around the table. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. So those items, again, 19 through 20, with the exception of 13, we'll go ahead and move to receive and file. Without objection, that'll be the order. And with that, let's go ahead now, and I believe the last item is item 5. We've got 3 cards. Alex Davis, if you can all come on up. Hamid Khan, Jamie Garcia once again.
We're not taking 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. 6. Oh, you still want 1? We didn't take 6. 6. I'm 6 as well, yeah. We'll take 6 next. I'm Paul.
That's right.
Whoever's ready. Can you reset the clock, please, for 2?
Yes.
2 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the committee. Thank you for your time today. My name is Alex Davis. I am the Legislative Affairs Manager at the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, VICA, and collectively we represent over 400 businesses in the San Fernando Valley, trying to make sure that the Valley is as competitive as possible for business. And the motion before you is to offer practical solutions for the unmanned systems, but we heed a little bit of caution moving forward, because we want to make sure that these don't go past the practical provisions and make the San Fernando Valley and the city of Los Angeles a little bit less competitive for business. There's a lot of businesses and a lot of industries that rely on this technology, and we ask that you heed the recommendation of the Federal Aviation Administration as the chief advisory body on this issue. The federal government has the oversight on this and the most information. And we ask, before this gets sent to the full council, that the committee inquire for a clear definition of careless and reckless behavior. It's included in the motion, and we find it concerning that this language isn't clear and it could be interpreted various ways, and we want to make sure our business community has as much information as possible before moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning. My name is Hamid Khan with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. We're not paid lobbyists. We're basically concerned community members who are here to speak about the dangers of drones. I mean, we can call them unmanned air vehicles, but they remain drones. I think the point was driven home last weekend with a mid-air collision that happened in San Diego or Brown Field, where a Cessna 172, a single-engine airplane, and a Saberliner, a business jet, had a mid-air collision, and 5 people got killed. Now, we're speaking about trained pilots who are certified, who have thousands of hours, who are flying in a controlled environment, who are being followed by radar, who are being tracked by radar as well, but yet these accidents happen. On the flip side, what we are seeing is constantly drones becoming more of a liability, where drones are now intruding in firefighting. The drones have become a liability for public safety. In essence, they are a liability. They're not an asset. So I think while, the defense industry and, these are killing machines as well, these are militarized machines as well. So while they are being pushed by the lobbyists, while they are being pushed by these corporations, the federal government is not going to come and save us over here. It is you who's the body who oversees the well-being and custodians of public trust for Angelenos. So they can come back and say whatever the FAA does. I speak that from personal experience. I'm a former commercial airline pilot. I used to fly 767 and 757s. I've flown 747s. I know what a controlled environment is. So, we are talking about lasers right now, which are a major issue for commercial airline pilots. Now you're bringing in drones into people's lives that we're just waiting for catastrophe to happen. So it's not just about public public safety. I mean, we can talk about privacy as well. We've seen several times where even Dianne Feinstein, she saw a drone outside her window, so now she's become like this very cautious proponent of drones. So, and this has happened over and over again. So I really, the coalition started a whole campaign against LAPD drones last year, and hopefully the LAPD drones will stay grounded. But we really just, we want to emphasize that do not go down this path, and please save the community from having drones flying all over us. Thank you.
Jamie Garcia.
Hi, my name's Jamie Garcia. So, again, not to reiterate everything that's just been said before, there are a lot of public safety concerns, privacy being one of the major ones. It wasn't just Dianne Feinstein. I believe there's another woman in Washington that also had a drone fly up to her window. So we've got to think about harassment, the kind of trauma from harassment. Even if there's fines in place, there's laws in place, this trauma will occur despite these things occurring and despite fines being made. Again, Hamid mentioned the firefighting and that drone interfering. So again, we have situations where damage is being done, lives could be being lost, and again, this person could be fined, but the damage is done already. And then lastly, the Washington Post in the summer of 2014 released a report detailing how 400 military drones had fallen from the sky. And what had happened is that, these trained officers in controlled environments had actually lost control, lost sight of the drone, and they even mentioned how up to 5 minutes they wouldn't know where the drone was at. So these drones that will probably be going up into the sky are not as large, but we've got to think about the amount of training. I mean, one of the incidents I always think about is a drone flying by the 10 freeway, and a person who's in control of this drone loses control of it, and it flies into a car. So I just, want this body to think about what it would be like with, Los Angeles without all these electronic drones flying through the sky. I mean, we still have UPS drivers, we still have traditional mail. I don't know why we need to go down this route and see the damage that might be done.
Great, thank you very much. Is there anybody from the departments that want to come up and speak to this? Seeing none. Colleagues, this is a motion in a package of motions that we've put together. I partnered with Congressman Adam Schiff, as well as Assemblyman Mike Gatto and Council President Herb Wesson. This is a very serious issue where these unmanned aircraft systems, UASs or drones, have become increasingly popular and incredibly affordable. In fact, over 2 million drones sold last year alone. And according to Fortune magazine, just the leading manufacturer, one single manufacturer, sells approximately 30,000 a month. Give you an idea, we have roughly 200,000 aircraft in the sky over the United States at any one time. So potentially right now, we could have more drones in the sky than we do aircraft. And we've all seen that what they can do to ground our fire helicopter and fire suppression, and it's incredibly dangerous. And we've seen too many examples of that. So we are looking for the city attorney to draft reasonable language that follows the guidelines and suggestions by the FAA and others, and as well as our pilots, to ground these within a 5-mile or so radius from the airports as well. But over fires and wildfires is the most important thing. And it's putting not only lives and property in danger, but it's also putting, quite frankly, our aircraft and, more importantly, our firefighters and our pilots in danger. And so we want to and need to protect them as well. And so fire departments across the state have been forced to stop and postpone airdrops on these fires, and we need to get in front of this growing trend. You can almost pick up a drone at it's getting to the point where almost it's any convenience store or supermarket. Every mall at some store sells a drone, and certainly you can buy them online. They have, as Vika indicated earlier, it's a great resource for real estate, we've talked to the fire department about looking at it for brush clearance and the inspections. If you can imagine these hillside inspections, how quick and efficient it would be for them. Now perhaps isn't the time for that discussion given what's been going on lately, but we need some direction from the city attorney on what we can do. So I would ask for you to support this and send it to council, asking the city attorney to draft some language. Mr. Bonner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I fully support this for a number of reasons. One, as you know, I have extremely high fire areas in the northern part of my district in particular, and I share the concern about the risk to our firefighters and to the ability to fight fires. I also share the concerns that Hamid and his colleague were voicing about privacy concerns. My next-door neighbor approached my husband a couple weeks ago to say that she was in her backyard gardening early in the morning in her nightgown, and a drone flew over and buzzed over her and hovered there for a few minutes. And I'm actually getting more reports of that because they're more and more prolific in the neighborhoods I represent. And I also think that just as we've seen the potential for them to do aerial photography in a good way for brush clearance maps, I think we're actually going to see soon that this is going to be the next paparazzi problem that we have in Los Angeles. And I think we really sort of need to get ahead of this. So I support this motion, and I think there's probably other stuff that we're going to wind up having to do as the technology becomes more prevalent.
Good point. Colleagues? Okay. And so with that, we'll go ahead and move this item on to the full City Council, asking the City Attorney to draft the language. I appreciate your support on that. A final item, item 6, called special by Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can have Port PD here. I understand we're also joined by air support pilots and TFOs, right? And pilots, all pilots. If you can just, I know this was also shared with us in TCT on August 4th. Appreciate the work that we're doing collectively between the two police departments, our eyes and ears in the sky. I mean, in light of what took place in China over this last week, an incredible, devastating incident resulted in numerous deaths and injuries. Reminded me the importance of what you do day in and day out, especially keeping our port safe both on the ground and up on the air. Can you just share with us, moving forward, some key points of this MOA? And wanted to make sure both agencies are on the same page. I mean, I've heard some rumblings on other MOAs involving both agencies, but just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and everyone is satisfied with this MOA moving forward.
Honorable Committee, Mr. Buscaino, Tom Gacy, Acting Chief, Los Angeles Port Police. With respect to this MOA, it's an annual MOA not to exceed $135,000. It provides general law enforcement air support for the Los Angeles Port Police for a variety of criminal matters, environmental impact matters, disaster preparedness endeavors, as you're referring to, for instance, in Dijon, China, last week on Wednesday, as well as at sea events involving maritime craft, as well as environmental and species protection and detection offshore, to include outside of the breakwater in the Port of Los Angeles. I'm joined by my colleagues from the Los Angeles Police Department this morning, and we're pleased to answer any other questions you might have with respect to this. It's a collaborative effort between both agencies. We appreciate the support immensely. We work closely, as you know, with the Los Angeles Police Department with great respect and appreciation for their support and how they assist us greatly in protecting the Port of Los Angeles.
Fantastic. Any specific MOA items that, I mean, it's pretty much, it's going to be paid by the port, reimbursed to the police department, is that my understanding?
That's correct, and it's billed on an hourly basis for emerging air support as is necessary and for specific missions that are scheduled, and it's an annual MOA not to exceed $135,000.
Very good. And I take it that we use the landing and takeoff of the Harbor Station helipad?
Yes, we launch from our downtown heliport at Piper Tech, of course, and then we'll land at Harbor Station, pick up any port police officers that are assigned to our mission, and we launch from there.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks so much for all the work that you do for us in securing our ports, both on the ground and up on the air.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Buscaino, did you wish to move? Note and file. Well, it's to approve.
It's to approve it, yes.
To approve it. And did you want any further inquiries on the species inspection detection, or is it with that as well? Okay, so we'll go ahead and approve that. Thank you very much. And that concludes the agenda, with the exception of public comment, general public comment for 1 minute, please. Donna? As it relates to this committee, public safety, for general public comment.
Well, this
The minute is-
belongs to public safety.
Great.
I'm talking about the safety of our sidewalks and our streets are not safe in an unpaved state with dips and big cracks, and it's hard for the wheelchairs and scooters and bikes. And especially I'm talking about the bike lane over there in the Northridge area, where they have the bike lane in one area and park cars in the second lane, and then the drivers. That I don't feel that's safe. The driver or the other person gets out when in the parked cars. You either have to get out in big lots of traffic, or the other person gets out too close to the. They get out with the bikes. So I don't think that's very good. It's not compliant for people with disabilities, not having a curb for the disabled getting out of a parked car. So I really don't, I think we got to do something about and not have these bike lanes that are right near the curb and cars parked along. I don't think that's a safety issue. That's a big problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the agenda, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.